My fiancé called off our wedding to see if I'd chase, so I quietly canceled everything. 3 weeks before our wedding, Camille came home from a girls' night and said, "I think we need to pause everything." I asked, "Why?" She said, "I need space, and I'm staying with Sienna for a while." She had a bag packed already. That told me this wasn't random, it was planned. So I said, "Okay, take your space." She looked like she expected me to beg, then she walked out. I didn't text her that night. I didn't call the next day. Instead, I opened my laptop and started canceling the wedding. The venue deposit was gone. The florist had orders in. The photographer had a cancellation fee. Every call cost me more money, but I stayed calm and finished each one. By the end, I'd lost thousands, and the wedding was officially dead. Then her parents started calling like it was my crime. Her mom yelled, "What are you doing, Noah?" Her dad demanded, "Explain yourself." I told them the truth. Camille asked for space, so talk to her. I called my parents and told them not to drive in for anything. I emailed the guests and watched the replies roll in. "Are you okay? Did something happen?" The wedding party group chat exploded until I typed, "It's canceled," and then it went silent. 1 hour later, Sienna messaged me, "If you really love her, you'll come begging." I left it on red. After that, mutual friends tried to pull me into it. "She's hurting," one text said. "If you love her, you'll fight." I didn't answer. If love needed a chase, it wasn't love I wanted. The date on our invitations came closer, and I kept my life simple. On the day we were supposed to get married, I stayed home. That evening, there was a hard knock at my door. Camille was in the hallway, mascara streaked, shaking, sitting on the floor. "Noah, please," she said. "I made a mistake. We can reschedule. We can do anything." I let her in, but I didn't touch her. I asked, "You wanted space, so why are you here now?" She whispered, "It wasn't supposed to go like this." I said, "Then what was it?" She took a breath and said, "It was a test." My stomach turned. "A test for what?" She cried and said, "To test your commitment." Then she finally named it. "Sienna and the others told me to do it, and they said if you didn't chase, you weren't ready for marriage." She said they gave her a schedule like it was a game. Day 1, I leave. Day 3, you beg. Day 7, you do a big gesture. Day 10, you say you'll elope. And by day 14, you prove you'll fight for us. I just stared at her. She wiped her face and added, "They also told me to bring up Adrian." Adrian was her ex, and she knew that name got under my skin. "They said if you got jealous, it meant you cared," she said. So she didn't just pause the wedding. She tried to push buttons on purpose. I said, "You didn't test my commitment. You tested my tolerance for disrespect." She grabbed my hands. "We can fix it. I'll cut them off. I love you." I pulled my hands back and said one word, "No." She froze, then begged harder. When begging didn't work, she tried to scare me. "Sienna says people come around once they realize what they lost," she said. I walked to the door and called building security. They asked her to leave. She refused. They escorted her out. 2 days later, the pressure started. Flowers showed up at my office. Old photos were left at my door. She waited outside my building and tried to corner me in the lobby. Then she went to my parents' place and wouldn't stop ringing the bell. I told my family not to open the door. I told the doorman not to let her up. She started posting vague lines online about abandonment and forgiveness, like I was a villain. Friends sent me screenshots and asked if I was going to do something romantic. I didn't. Then she heard I was seeing someone new, and my phone blew up with burner numbers. "You replaced me already?" one text said. "She doesn't know who you are," another said. "Sienna says you'll regret this." I stopped answering unknown calls and saved everything. I was done letting them control the story. So I made one post, calm, simple, and factual. I wrote that Camille canceled our wedding as a commitment test. I listed the checkpoints she admitted. I posted screenshots of her saying it. Within hours, it spread through our whole circle, and my phone filled with screenshots, questions, and angry messages aimed at Sienna when people said she'd run the same prove it test before, with the same steps and the same real love fights speech. And a few people even wrote, "She did this to my cousin too." Camille went private. Brands emailed her company. Deals froze. She got pulled off accounts, and that friend group started blaming each other, blocking each other, and breaking up. And even her parents stopped defending it until she emailed me. "I finally see how wrong this was, and I'm sorry," and I didn't reply. Now people are calling me cold for not chasing her. Was I wrong?